live in Western Oregon. This is NBC16 News at 6:30.
Heartbreak for the Ducks last night in Game 2 of the Super Regional, forcing a winner-take-all Game 3 for the Oregon baseball team today at PK Park. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Claire Brennan. Game 3 of the Super Regional Series against Oral Roberts is currently in the top of the 9th inning, with Oregon trailing 8-5. We'll have the latest updates from sports anchor Hayden Herrera coming up later tonight. Lush local gardens blooming with the sounds of live music today. It's for the 25th anniversary of the Eugene Symphony Guild's fundraiser, Music in the Garden. 6 gardens throughout Eugene and Springfield were chosen to host musical performances, plant sales, vendors, and talks with garden specialists. Eugene residents Luke and Catherine Roth have developed their backyard paradise over the last 42 years. And for them, it's all about building community.
Having a particular day like this for the symphony is a really nice fundraiser for them, but it's also a chance for the community to see some really spectacular gardens. In our day of being so polarized as a society, it's kind of nice to have people of all stripes come together and enjoy the beauty of nature.
The couple say they're honored to have been selected as one of the featured gardens for a second time. You can find out more about the organization by visiting eugenesymphonyguild.org. And several reports coming into Central Lane 911 today about a bear in the South Hills area of Eugene. In a press release, police say residents spotted the bear near 31st Avenue and Willamette Street, where it was seen jumping into a backyard and being treed by a dog. Oregon State Police are aware of the sightings and have 2 game wardens in the area. EPD says bears are not usually a problem if they're on the fringe of town. And they're asking people not to call 911 unless a bear is presenting an immediate danger of attacking or has been hit by a car. Tonight, one man is in custody after police say he drove his truck through Portland's Grand Floral Parade while it was going on, endangering crowds of people, including children. Francis Lynn from our sister station has more.
What started as a fun, sunny day for a parade.
We enjoy it, and the kids enjoy it. Everything is awesome. You know, weather was good today, no rain, not too hot, not too cold.
And the favorite part was the blazers.
This turned into a moment of terror for some. Portland police say a little after 10 this morning, an officer saw parade goers run out onto the street after a truck driver pulled onto the closed parade route. The officer chased him down, trying to get the truck to pull over using sirens and commands, but the driver didn't stop. At one point, police say he drove directly towards families sitting on the curb watching the parade. Several people narrowly avoided getting hit, according to PPB. The driver then allegedly ran through a barricade, forcing volunteers to quickly get out of the way. Eventually, the driver left the parade route. That's when PPB's air support unit took over. Officers say they were able to stop the truck near the intersection of Northeast 24th Avenue and Clackamas Street.
That was our own Francis Lynn reporting. That suspect, Sidney Sean Metcham, is now booked at the Multnomah County Detention Center on charges of recklessly endangering another person, disorderly conduct, attempt to elude, and reckless driving. Meanwhile, a truck fire caused part of an interstate to collapse today in Philadelphia. Footage of the scene shows a portion of I-95 charred and crumbling onto the underpass below. First responders spent the morning getting the fire under control. They say nearby fuel and gas lines were compromised, causing explosions. There were no reported injuries. Authorities are now urging commuters to seek alternate routes.
Today's going to be a long day, and obviously with 95 northbound gone, and southbound questionable, it's going to be even longer than that.
The cause of that fire is still under investigation, but officials say the truck was a tanker possibly hauling hundreds of gallons of gasoline. And new details emerging today about the death of the Unabomber. According to people familiar with the matter, Ted Kaczynski's passing is being investigated as a suicide. The 81-year-old was suffering from late-stage cancer and was found dead in his North Carolina prison cell early Saturday morning. He was serving a life sentence for a 17-year bombing spree that killed 3 people and injured dozens more. His death adds to mounting pressure on the federal prison system, which saw increased scrutiny over inmate suicides following the death of Jeffrey Epstein. Nicola Sturgeon, the former leader of the Scottish Nationalist Party, was arrested today on allegations of financial misconduct. A spokesperson for Sturgeon confirmed the arrest in a statement. Sturgeon was the face of Scotland's independence movement for 8 years until her sudden resignation earlier this year. She's the latest high-profile member of the SNP to be taken in for questioning over allegations that funds raised to campaign for Scottish independence had been diverted elsewhere. Sturgeon's husband, Peter Morrell, who had served as chief executive of the SNP, was previously arrested in April, along with Colin Beattie, the party's former treasurer. Both were released without being charged, pending further inquiry. Sturgeon was released without charge, pending further investigation. Following her release, Sturgeon said that her arrest has been a shock and deeply distressing, and that she is in fact innocent of any wrongdoing. And Russian media say Moscow police have arrested an American man. His name is Michael Travis Leak, and he's suspected of trafficking drugs to children. It's a charge that carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. Authorities say they'll keep Leak detained for 2 months until his trial. Leak is a musician who had been living in Russia for the past decade. The State Department says it's aware of his situation and is working to provide consular assistance. And it was a beautiful day to be out at Ellis Park to kick off the remainder of the spring meet. Steve Melling spoke with several attendees at Saturday's race who say they enjoy the intimacy of Ellis and the opportunity to be way up close to where all the races are taking place.
I feel like we're right on top of the track and we get to be in the race.
Those who frequent Ellis Park aren't used to hearing the trumpet play in the month of June.
Really and truthfully, it's going to be an improvement for Henderson and Ellis Park.
When we first heard the news that Churchill's races would move to Ellis Park, we knew it was a historic moment.
A historic moment indeed, as hundreds of folks filled the grandstands to watch high-caliber horse racing in Henderson.
This is a fun day for us. Yeah. Really appreciate Ellis and all of its changes.
Fans both near and far making their way to Henderson to see unprecedented racing. Following the shift from Churchill Downs to Ellis Park, out-of-towners getting a taste of the Tri-State.
She thought we weren't going to get to go to live races since it wasn't at Churchill Downs, and we surprised her and came down to Henderson.
The ultimate goal is that the folks from Churchill see what a gym this is, see the community support that's behind the track.
Jamie Wilbers and the rest of the bachelorette party originally planned on heading to Churchill. From Missouri, the group was determined to see some racing and possibly making a return in the near future to the Tri-State.
Absolutely! Henderson's amazing!
And then you have the Tri-State natives, the people used to Ellis, but not like this.
I'm just tickled to see the caliber of horses improvement and a lot more fun.
Dan and Sheila Hampton celebrated their 53rd wedding anniversary by coming to Ellis Park and winning in their first race.
8 is her lucky number. Just going to make it a great day.
Awesome.
Win money's what I'm here for.
The next month, chock full of racing.
If you've never been to a race, a horse race, you need to come at least one time.
That was Stephen Melling reporting. Races will run through the month of June into early July. The biggest race remaining in the spring meet will be Ellis Park's first Grade 1 race, the Stephen Foster Stakes, taking place on July 1st. And next, we have the latest on Trump's indictment, including reaction from figures.
We plan on a mission.
Ahead of a historic week, former President Donald Trump back on the campaign trail over the weekend, calling the recent indictment a political hit job. He faces federal charges and is expected to appear in court in Florida on Tuesday. Meanwhile, reactions from Capitol Hill continue on both sides. Shelley Malashi has the latest.
Witch hunt, scam, hoax. It's called election interference, and they're doing the best they can with it.
Over the weekend, former President Donald Trump on the campaign trail making stops in Georgia and North Carolina, following his recent federal indictment. While in Greensboro, the former president calling out the Biden administration for what he claimed is an abuse of power.
The baseless indictment of me by the Biden administration's weaponized Department of Injustice will go down as among the most horrific abuses of power in the history of our country. This vicious persecution is a travesty of justice.
Trump faces a total of 37 counts, including 31 counts of willful retention of national defense information and conspiracy with a top aide to allegedly hide documents from the government.
If even half of it is true, then he's toast. It's a very detailed indictment, and it's very, very damning.
This is as devastating and specific of an indictment that I think I've ever seen.
President Trump will have his day in court, but but espionage charges are absolutely ridiculous. Whether you like Trump or not, he did not commit espionage.
Former President Donald Trump is expected to travel to Miami on Monday, ahead of his Tuesday court appearance, according to two sources, where he will meet with lawyers and discuss a Florida-based legal team. I'm Shelley Malashi reporting.
Thank you, Shelley. Former President Trump's personal aide Walt Nauta is also facing 6 counts, including several charges related to obstruction and concealment. And Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says no one is above the law, including former President Trump. Speaking at his weekly news conference today, Schumer briefly remarked on Trump's indictment.
No one is above the law, including Donald Trump. This indictment must now play out through the legal process without any outside political or ideological interference. We encourage Mr. Trump's supporters and his critics to let this case proceed peacefully through the court.
The senator also called for more fire crews to be sent to Canada to battle wildfires that are causing air pollution along the East Coast. And 2 new polls suggest most Americans see a security risk in Trump's alleged actions that led to an indictment on federal charges. Trump now faces a total of 37 criminal counts that include willful retention of classified documents, including national defense information. An ABC News IPSOS poll found that 61% of Americans say the federal charges Trump faces are very or somewhat serious. 28% say the charges are not serious. And a CBS News YouGov poll found that 69% of Americans feel it would be a security risk if Trump possessed documents regarding U.S. nuclear systems or military plans in his home after leaving office. Trump is expected to be arraigned in Miami Tuesday. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has another high-profile endorsement in his bid for the presidency, this time from Republican Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt.
We need the next president to be in office for 8 years. We've got to defeat Joe Biden, okay? And I believe that Ron DeSantis is the right guy. I know all the candidates. I believe he is the right guy to beat Joe Biden, to be in office for the next 8 years. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor. Let's do an Oklahoma welcome. Put your hands together for the next president of the United States, Ron DeSantis and Casey.
Governor Stitt's endorsement followed news that 20 Oklahoma state legislators and former Republican Congressman Jim Bridenstine also gave DeSantis their formal backing for president. And Miami Mayor Francis Suarez is ramping up expectations for a potential presidential bid today, telling viewers on Fox News to stay tuned for a big announcement coming this week.
Making, like you said, a big speech in the Reagan Library, and I think it's one that America should tune into. It's one where we talk about what the future of our country should be. It should be a future that creates prosperity, not poverty.
The Florida Republican has been laying down the groundwork for a presidential campaign in recent months and has even made trips to early voting states. He previously criticized Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for fighting with Disney and vocally opposed Donald Trump in the 2016 and 2020 elections. Suarez is speaking Thursday at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation as part of a conservative speaker series titled A Time for Choosing.
Ahead in sports, one game for all the marbles. Oregon or Oral Roberts? Who is booking a trip to Omaha for the College World Series? We'll have an update on Game 3 on the way. Put your feet up this Father's Day with
NBC16 Sports Desk, sponsored by Bridgeway Contracting.
The Ducks were 2 outs away from celebrating a trip to the College World Series last night, but the Golden Eagles of Oral Roberts ended any chance of a Saturday night party with a walk-off win, which makes today a clear-cut scenario. The winner of today's Game 3 goes to Omaha. The game is still underway, so we can't show highlights, but here's a quick recap of the game. At last check, the Ducks are in desperation mode. It's the bottom of the 9th, and Oregon trails by a score of 11-5. They already have 1 out, Sabine Ceballos at the bat. Another sellout crowd at PK Park. The fans, they've been loud all weekend. The Ducks got an early home run from Tanner Smith to take the lead, but Oregon's pitching couldn't stop the ORU offense. Freshman Jackson Pace started the game, but left in the 4th when Oral Roberts took the lead. A huge what-if from this season will be if Roseburg native and Oregon's ace, Jay Stoffel, would have been healthy enough to pitch during the postseason, what they could have done. Oregon got as close as 5-4 in the 6th after a Sabine Ceballos home run, But 3 runs in the 7th from Oral Roberts and 3 in the 9th, pretty much the final nail in the coffin for the Ducks. A trip to Omaha looks extremely unlikely at this point, but I guess you never know. The Ducks are down to their final out. We'll have highlights and post-game reaction from PK tonight at 11. The Eugene Emeralds would have been playing at PK Park had Oregon not reached the Super Regional round. The Ems wrapped up their series against the Tri-City Dust Devils with an 8-4 loss. It's back on the road for Eugene this week. Their series against the Spokane Indians begins Tuesday. Mariners in their series finale on the road against the Angels. Seattle down 6-0 in the 4th. Teoscar Hernandez, a deep blast off Griffin Canning, 2-run homer, deficit cut to 4. Next inning, this time it's Mike Ford going deep. It's a solo shot, just not enough offensive production today. But I will say the Mariners have a cool little celebration. What is that, a trident? Angels didn't have a problem with offensive production. Bottom of the 8th, Zach Neto, his 2nd home run of the game. Angels take the win in the series. Mariners back at home tomorrow, hosting the Marlins for a 3-game series. Due to injuries, they never got to play together while they were at the University of Oregon. But today, former Ducks and sisters, Satu and Niara Sabally, getting to square off as opponents in the WNBA. Satu in the Dallas Wings on the road against the New York Liberty. Second quarter, it's Satu. She's got the jumper. Wings go up by 6. Satu, 17 points, 11 rebounds, her 6th straight double-double. Dallas with the halftime lead, but here come the Liberty. Another former Duck, Sabrina Ionescu, fresh off a career-high 37 points. Floater is good to the 4th. More Sabrina, this time for 3. 22 points for Ionescu. Her teammate Brianna Stewart had another great game, a game-high 32 points. No points for Niara, but she gets bragging rights over Satu. Liberty win 102-93. Portland Thorns on the road Sunday in Florida against the Orlando Pride. 20th minute, she's in fine form ahead of next month's Women's World Cup. Sophia Smith buries it. Thorns up 1-0. That lead, well, it only lasts 6 minutes. Home team responds. Adriana, when you're that good, you only go by one name. Whew, gets the equalizer. Tied at halftime. 47th minute, and guess who? Adriana again gets her 2nd goal of the day here, and the Thorns fall on the road 3-1. Finally tonight, 2 more soccer games to get to. The Lane United men's team scores in stoppage time to earn a draw on the road against Ole Town. Meanwhile, the Timbers are getting set for a home match against FC Dallas. That's tonight at 7. Another update, Ducks did manage to score 1 run. They're down 11-6 now, but they've only got 1 out left. I'll have another update for you just in a little bit.
Thanks for keeping us updated, Hayden.
My name's Justin Reeves. I work for Swanson Group.
And now weather with Chief Meteorologist John Mayer.
Starting to see those temperatures climb just slightly above average as we are going to be dealing with high pressure that's building, a warming trend moving on into next week. Nothing in our area kind of really going to push us off that, but it is a short-lived warming trend. Now tomorrow we are expecting to see the hottest day of the week as temperatures climb into the mid-80s. Then we start to see them decline. 80 degrees on Tuesday, then back into the 70s, and then looking pretty great into next weekend for Father's Day. Now we still have those dry conditions and we're not going to be seeing anything really moving on in. Some slight chances of some showers moving on in end of the week, start of your weekend. Over along the coast, we're seeing that consistency continue. 60s across the board, that warming trend not impacting the coast. We are expecting Tuesday to be a very cloudy day, but not impacting temperatures wise. And overnight lows right where they should be as well. High 40s, low 50s into next weekend. And over in the Umpqua Valley, temperatures also going to be the hottest of the week on Monday, back into the high 80s. We were kind of seeing this last Monday as well. And then temperatures do a steady decline back into the mid 70s by Friday. So a few days in the 80s down in the Umpqua Valley with those overnight lows starting to decline just steadily back into the low 50s.
It's barbecue chicken pizza season.
finally at 6:30. Yesterday's Google Doodle has Britons divided. Saturday's Delicious Doodle celebrates scones, the baked treat popular in the UK. But the proper way to top them is an age-old debate. In the picture, you see two scones giving each other the side eye in disapproval, because one is topped with clotted cream, then jam, which is the way people in Devon enjoy them. But the other has jam first, then the clotted cream, which is the traditional Cornish way. So which one is better? It depends on who you ask. But for the record, King Charles reportedly enjoys scones with jam first, the Cornish way. Now, Hayden, before we go, I know you've been scrambling around all day to give us the updates on that Ducks game. What's going on?
You don't want to know if I like the Cornish or my preference?
I don't even know what clotted cream is. Hayden, baseball.
Sad news, Oregon was not able to mount a rally. Oral Roberts wins 11-6. The Golden Eagles are headed to the College World Series. But what a season for Oregon. This was the first time in over a decade that Oregon had even been able to host a super regional. They had a crucial injury with their best pitcher, Roseburg native Jay Stoffel. He went down in late April. It looked like he might be ready to come back by this time of year, but he wasn't able to rehab from his injury fast enough, which is a shame because this team really just needed one more pitcher and they would have had all the ingredients needed to win a super regional. Selfishly, I was excited for Oral Roberts in the slightest bit because they have 5 players from my hometown.
Oh, wow.
Small world. Oral Roberts, a tiny school in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Only 2 hours from my hometown, so that kind of makes sense. I got to meet one of the families, which was really cool. But sad day for the Ducks. Looking ahead to the future, though, they've got a lot of talent coming back.
Yes, very unfortunate. And what about the jam?
I'll go with the Cornish, like King Charles, I guess.
Yeah,
thanks,
me
Chuck.
too.
Yeah.
Well, that's all for tonight. We'll see you back here at 11.